Help video graphing rational functions. So in order to graph your guys' rational functions, you need to find all 5 pieces of information: horizontal, y-intercept, vertical, pole, and x-intercept. So let's begin with horizontal asymptote first. Comparing your guys' highest degrees. So highest degree of the numerator, you guys, is 1, coming from this x term, and highest degree on the bottom is 1, also coming from this x term. Now, since they tie in highest degrees in the numerator and denominator, that is this choice. And as you guys can see, that is when horizontal asymptote is when y is equal to the coefficients. So our horizontal asymptote is going to be y is equal to, what is the coefficients of these two? -2 and 4. So -2/4, which is -1/2. Now this will be important for us when we do graph, but for now, horizontal asymptote is y equals -1/2. Now we gotta find our y-intercept. Set x equal to 0 and we solve. So for our y-intercept, we set x is equal to 0, so every single x gets substituted, or 0 gets substituted for every single x. And what you guys will notice, you'll get -8 over -12. Simplify, so first a negative over a negative, you guys, is a positive. And then divide top and bottom by 4. And we're going to get 2 over 3. And our y-coordinate looks like that, so it's going to be 0, 2/3. Now, let's factor out everything. On the top, you guys can factor out a -2. -2 goes into -2 once, so just positive 1 time. -2 goes into -8 positive 4 times. Okay. And from the bottom, you guys can factor out a 4. 4 goes into 4 once, so 1x. 4 goes into -12, -3 times. So let's find our vertical asymptote, which is setting the denominator equals to 0. So the denominator is 4 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now, 4 equals 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. We can't put this one because that's a false statement. So add 3 to both sides, we get x is equal to 3, and this will be our vertical asymptote. Your whole, set what you canceled equals to 0, but we didn't cancel anything out. So that means our whole, you guys, is none, because we didn't cancel out anything. And lastly, step 6 is to find our x-intercept by setting the numerator equal to 0 and solve. Here's the numerator. Set the numerator equal to 0 and we solve. Well, 0 can't equals -2, you guys, so we just leave the -2 out. X plus 4, though, can certainly equal to 0. Subtract both sides by 4, x is equal to -4. I'll just write this just so that you guys, for consistency. Alright, and our x-intercept is going to be -4, 0. Okay, so we have all 5 pieces of information. Now we can graph. And this is how you guys are going to graph this. Okay, horizontal asymptote was y is equal to -1/2. So -1/2, you guys, is like -0.5. So -0.5, you guys, is right here. And since it's it's right here. And since it's a horizontal asymptote, that's not where -1/2 is. That's where x is equal to -1/2. Here is where y is equal to -1/2. And since it's a horizontal asymptote, we are going to have our horizontal asymptote right there. So it's going to be a horizontal line. Horizontal dotted line. Y-intercept was 0, 2/3. So our y-intercept was 0, 2/3. So 2/3, you guys, is like 0.66. So 0, 2/3, you guys, is right around there. Okay. our vertical asymptote was at x is equal to 3. So go to 3, 1, 2, 3, right there, and it's a vertical asymptote, so a vertical dotted line. And lastly, no hole, but there was an X-intercept, and our X-intercept was -4, 0. So -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. And once you guys hit submit, even though it might say you gotta make sure everything's graphed, you don't touch the hole. So just submit, and your guys' graph is gonna look something like that for this particular problem. So again, it's just practicing those 5 and then finding all 5 and then graphing it appropriately. Alright, so we'll get to number 2. Okay, number 2. Again, follow your guys' notes, right? Horizontal asymptote. Compare the degrees. Highest degree is 1, coming from here. Highest degree is 2 on the bottom, coming from there. Now, if the denominator is bigger than the numerator, that means your horizontal asymptote is going to be y is equal to 0. That's your guys' third case in your guys' notes. Okay, Y-intercept. Y-intercept, you guys, is setting x equals to 0. So f of 0 equals -3 times 0 plus 9 all over 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 15. Well, all you guys will be left with is 9 over -15. Simplify this fraction, and you guys get -3 over 5. So as a coordinate, you guys will get 0, -3 fits. Okay, step 3 in your guys' notes. Factor out everything. So, factor out a -3 to get x minus 3. This is your guys' x method. So, what two things multiply to -15, but when you guys add it, gives you guys 2. That is +5 and -3. Now, if you guys take a look, we get cancel, so we have -3 over x plus 5. Alright, so now let's find our vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptote, you guys, is when you set the denominator equals to 0. X plus 5 equals 0. Subtract both sides by 5. X is equal to -5. There's our vertical asymptote. Now our hole. So our hole is, you guys, what we canceled and set that equal to 0. What we canceled out was x minus 3. Set that equal to 0. Add 3 to both sides. X is equal to 3. Now to find the y-coordinate of the hole, plug in our x value into our equation after cancellation. So what we're going to have is -3 over 3 plus 5, which is -3 over 8. So our hole is 3, -3 eighths. And lastly, our x-intercept is when you guys set the numerator equals to 0. There's our numerator. But you guys know -3 equals 0. That's impossible, which means our x-intercept, you guys, is none. Now we have, we solved for every component. Now it's time to graph. So again, vertical asymptote. Sorry, horizontal asymptote was y is equal to 0. So at y is equal to 0, we make a dotted line which will be alongside the x-axis. Okay, y-intercept was 0, -3 fits. -3 fits, you guys, is like -0.6, which means it'll be between 0 and -1. It's gonna be right around there. Vertical asymptote, we had x is equal to -5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5 is right there, and it's a vertical dotted line at x is equal to -5. we had a hole at 3 comma negative 3/8. So negative 3/8, you guys, that's negative 3.75. So 3 comma negative 3/8, which is around negative 3.375. So 1, 2, 3 down negative 0.375, which is probably right around there. No X-Intercept, so your guys' graph is going to look something like this. So you guys submit your answer. Again, don't touch your X-Intercept because there is nothing there. So hopefully this helps you guys with your guys' graphing.